Okay, it's showing. Okay, hold on. So let's see. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. We're trying something new. I hope everyone can hear me. Do you have yours pulled up on your phone as well? While we test this out?
Okay, it's showing.
Oh, okay. There's volume
Okay,
there.
hold on.
Okay.
So let's see.
So we're just gonna talk like normal and let the feed. I'm not gonna worry about the feed. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I have Molly Garcia joining so far. Thank you so much. And there's a Sheck Kleckner as well on the line. This is a special day. It is a holiday. Despite everything that's going on in the land, it is my birthday. And so I would just thank everyone for joining us today. I'm having so much fun. I'm just so happy and excited to be here and just blessed, despite what's going on, just trying to be in good spirit and good cheer. And Ed, let's just test out your mic. Say something real quick for the people.
I'm just glad to be here. I feel like I'm one of those boxers that's, being interviewed, and I'm just trying to pretend not to notice the camera.
Right, but I keep seeing you looking into it.
That's the way they do it too. I've done.
Right.
I'm well aware how
Okay.
they work.
Well, those of you who are listening, it is my birthday. Hey, Tamara. We're not only going to celebrate just me, just enjoying life and thanking everybody. And as I'm talking, I'm setting up as well, so I apologize. But I just want to thank everybody for your birthday wishes, for the phone calls I received today. It just meant a lot for people to take the time to do that. And so I'm just so appreciative of all the sweet calls and messages and texts. And I just wanted to share my birthday with you. Of course, this was a day of reflection and just thinking about being blessed to see another year, but just looking at how the world is today. So I asked Mr. Ed Gray to join me from the Commish show, and I'm your sister show, right?
That's right. That's right.
So does that make you my brother show?
That's it.
Or you like a play cousin? Which one?
I'm like your big brother.
All right, thank you so much. And I know you just did, for those of you who are not following, Ed, how can people find you?
You can find me all over the internet, Ed Gray 1906 on Instagram, Ed Gray 1906 on Twitter, and also the Commish Radio Show on Facebook.
Okay, sounds good. All right. And so, as I was setting up, I did catch some of what you were saying. Do you want to go back and just share what you talked about today on your platform? Because I know you normally do a Wednesday and Saturday show, but I have noticed that you've been coming on a lot more frequent.
Thank you. Because of the nature of what we're going through right now, the COVID-19 crisis, I found it necessary for me to go ahead and reach the people 24/7, if you will. So I'm doing this now 7 days a week. So every day at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, that's when I go on the air on the Facebook portal. Today I talked about, stay at home. Yesterday I talked about sports, the end of pandemic. And then the first show on Saturday was the intro show.
Okay, so you're going to just do an ongoing segment. And unfortunately, it looks like you'll be able to do those segments for a long time. Tell us how you feel about
2 years probably, because one of the things that I've discovered in my studies, and I'm pursuing my PhD at SMU right now, and one of the things that I've discovered in my studies regarding pandemics, that they don't last 2, 3, 4 months. There's no such thing as a outbreak that lasts and then all of a sudden 6 months later it's over with. A pandemic that goes around the world, and that's what a pandemic is. It is an epidemic that's worldwide. It lasts for several years. The last great pandemic lasted from 1918 to 1920. So if this is the very beginning of the pandemic, we have basically another 2 more years to go.
I'm sure for people that are listening, that are following the updates that we've been given daily, not only from leaders around the country, but also from our president, It seems to be that there's a little glimmer of hope where we're doing about 2-week extensions at a time with a projection through August. So with you coming on and saying the nature of a pandemic through history, just from your point of view, what would you like those who are listening to understand, and what would you share for them to be prepared for the worst case scenario?
Well, Dr. Fauci, who is with the president, he's with the president, and he is now bending the president's ear to a bit of common sense, has denoted that the crisis or the epidemic is determined by the disease, not by man-made, who says that we're going to stop this during this particular time period, which President Trump has decided that he's going to go ahead and extend it for 2 more weeks to April 30th. And the reason why he's decided to extend that is for political reasons. It has nothing to do with anything medical at all. So what we're looking for and what we're looking at is being able to be in this crisis for some time to come. If you realize, and some people have realized before, that this crisis started in Wuhan, China, in November of 2019, and they're just now getting out of it now, to the point where they're beginning to think that things are normalized. If that's the case, then we are going to be in this until, well, we're going to be in it till the fall. And then when it comes to the fall, then we have to realize that that's again a time in which we start having the new set of influenza that arises at that time frame. That's normally when people start getting shots in the fall. Mm-hmm. So we're in for this for a little while.
So a long cycle. I think the number now is already at 200,000.
200,000. That's 200,000 projected in the United States. That 200,000 people will have been lost at the end of this pandemic. But worldwide, we are looking at 600,000 that will lose their lives. And what I'm concerned about is what I see in my community, and what I'm talking about my community, the African American community as a whole, is that we need to take this more serious. I had a colleague of mine who had stated before that he thought that only white people got that disease and black people didn't. And I had to pull his coat, and I told him, I said, hey, look, the only reason why you see white people getting the disease and black people not is because how many times you see black people going to China and coming back? You normally don't see that. So as a result of that, the people that you initially saw that had that disease in the United States were people who were coming back from China. Mm-hmm. And they were either Asian or they were either, for the most part, European Americans. But now that this epidemic has now went outside of the commuter community, if you will, it's now going into the broader community. And as we saw from last month, Mardi Gras, the city of New Orleans is greatly infected today, and that is an African American city.
Right. And to our demographic specifically, how do you feel that we're adhering to the policies? Do you think there's an age gap? Like a lot of people saying the millennials are really not taking heed to and not understanding the severity of what's at stake, or do you think there's what is there a divide there with support?
Got somebody calling in and
it's my birthday. For those of you who are listening, I would just take moments away from this wonderful.
I'm just laughing. I was saying, you sure you want to do this?
It's my birthday.
I was asking you, are you sure you want to do this on this day of all days, your birthday? You're supposed to be celebrating. If you haven't looked at your text already, I stated, are you sure you want to do this?
Yes, so again, and I'm going to tell you why. Because part of being here is to being a gift and a vessel for other people. You know, we have a platform as media, right? And especially with something like this going on, even, I mean, it's not like I could be maybe in a more desirable climate tonight. I'm sure that if we weren't being quarantined to our home.
Don't look like you're gonna be quarantined there. Where you at right there? What is
Well,
that?
I just, people drop off a little something on your birthday. You got to
Mm.
sanitize it now.
It's
But
alcohol, it'll kill it.
and I put a little glitter on and I'm baking me a
Yeah,
cake.
because I was about to say you dress like this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, it starts with the mind.
Yeah, 'cause I have a hoodie on. You have, somehow this don't look right.
It's
I'm
all
telling you, it
good.
look right.
But thank you to the SouthernG.U.R.L party. We want to welcome some other people who are watching. Stay Hall, one of our fellow fishbowl members, she says this definitely needs to be taken more seriously. No cookouts, no car parties, no birthday celebrations, no visiting your neighbors. Just know, stay home. We are not immune. Thank you, Anita Delaney, for your birthday wishes. Harvey Smith. And Eric May, my cousin, Mantrice, Claude, hey Shaka, thanks all for joining. What do you want to say that? Stay Hall says, just stay home.
You know what? Out of all those people you named on there, you should really be thanking one person there above all else of all of
This is
all
a
of.
really rich bird. Do you know him? Hi, Willie. Hi,
No, but
Latonya Gates. Hello.
and then we'll get right back to what we were saying, because we also want to make sure that you understand, the people are understanding it, that during this crisis, during this epidemic, we have to continue to live. This is not a death sentence. This is not a death sentence. This is part of life. All through the annals, I wasn't going to say that word before, but I got it out on Monday. I was trying to hold it off until Friday. All through the annals of history, people have dealt with epidemics and pandemics, and this is one in which we're going to get through again. We talked about the bubonic plague before. We talked about the Spanish influenza in 1918, and now we're talking about this plague now. But beyond all that, though, the human experience has been just what you're doing right now. You're reaching out to people, Nicole. You're reaching out to people. You tying into the community. Also, as well, you're still celebrating life and life itself. And this is what this is really about.
Right.
This is a celebration of your life, celebration of the people that are tuning in, and also a celebration of us to continue to live by making some steps that we have to continue to do, such as we need to stay out of those parks. That's what I mentioned on my radio show earlier today. For a short while, stay out of the parks.
Right.
Go ahead and stay in to live another day so we can celebrate with you in 2021. That's what we need to do.
And you did say there were some important names, and there were a lot of people I have connections with, but one thing was disheartening today when my mom called. Like, normally I could just shoot by, we could connect. You can plan to meet with family and friends on your birthday, and we had a FaceTime. And so I had to think about how that felt to my mom, to have to see me but not be able to touch me, and people are having to make some of those decisions on who to quarantine with, how they're going to quarantine. People have family members in nursing homes. We even talked as we prep for the show about funerals now. It seemed like every avenue of our everyday life has been tainted some way by something that we can't see. Are we really at war with Corona? Or is Corona at war with us?
Oh, that you asked one of those questions, that normally when I was in school, I would say, why she got to pick on me? What we're really looking at.
Before I do that, Ed, hold on 1 second. Those of you who are watching, we did want to try to include you who are listening in the conversation. As you can see, we normally pilot our show out of our station at Fishbowl Radio Network. Shout out to our family and peers associated with Fishbowl. But due to the new nature of what's going on, we're trying some different things. So if you'd like to be included in our discussion, I want you to drop your, thank you, Tate, thanks so much. Go ahead and drop your email down in the comments, and how would you like to play around with that? Is that okay with you, Ed?
As you can see, I'm playing around with everything now because now I'm looking at you on the feed on Zoom, and I'm looking at it, and now I'm also looking at myself on my page here, where you have it on the Ed Gray page and the Ed Gray political page. Gone, you bad. You know, this is tough.
Multitasking.
Corona can't get us down like that. We're figuring out new kind of ways in which we can do that.
That's right.
The delay is tripping me out, but otherwise than that, I'm doing good with it. But are we at war with Corona, or is Corona at war with us? I think where we're at is we're just going through the human experience of life itself. So in order for us to continue to live, and we've thrived on this planet for millions of years, we're going to get through this. We continue to do things to survive and thrive, and this is just one of the things that's happening right now. We had conversations before in the past that as this novel, they call this a novel disease, novel, which means it's new. It's new. Our bodies will begin to become immune to it, and we'll be able to beat it, because a lot of things that used to kill people 100 years ago don't even kill us now. So that's where we're at now. And I want us to be optimistic, even though it is very hard to be optimistic when you pick up the newspaper. Wait a minute, you don't even read a newspaper. When you get on the internet and you look at what's happening, and you see what is going on, and you say, am I going to make it through the week? Because we just don't know. But what we do know is that we're going to make it through the day if we do those simple things that we pretty well ignored before in the past, And those things are things such as, I see people now lysoling and cleaning up every 5 minutes, it seems like. Those are the things that we need to do in order to abate and mitigate this virus, this disease.
Right. Those are social norms that may need to be adopted. Even as I've been out, the few times I've had to go, I've been so much more aware. We keep our sanitizer and towels and wipe and try and live a life of cleanliness. But I've been so aware of things I come in contact that so many people may have touched prior to. Even seeing gas stations and in the stores or grocery stores, they have the barriers up now. Have you seen those by the register?
Yes, I have seen them, and the other things that I've noticed, though, is that they're now putting signs in restrooms telling people to wash their hands. And I'm going like, wow, I'm glad they put those signs in there, because I've been going to the restroom for years, and I've seen people walk out. Like, dang, wow, dude, wash his hands.
Work there.
I mean, and then I think one of the I'm gonna tell my age by using this word. One of the trip things that I've seen is that they have in restaurants, they have a sign for their employees, say, all employees wash your hands before going back to work. And I'm going like, dang. You got to hold a sign to tell your employees to wash their hands before they. Do I really want to eat here or what?
Kareem, go ahead.
No, I was done. That was it.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. I don't want to interrupt you. It's your birthday.
All right. Well, Kareem Mitchell commented, hi, Kareem. He said, we are at war with the same people we've been at war with since day one. It's not the corona we are at war with. It's the ones that made it and put it out there. Simple mathematics. That's his business. This be your big wigs that don't wash their Tate said it's even the owners, big wigs, that don't wash their hands. So lots of people are agreeing. What do you think about what Kareem said about we're at war with the ones that made it and put it out there?
I don't have any comment.
Okay. And Farrah says we have to take it one day at a time. We do. So again, you're welcome to drop your email. We like to have you Zoom in with us as a featured guest. We love, just put a little lip gloss on, brush it up real quick, and we love for you to join us. as far as what the government is putting together for people, I know a lot of people have been waiting on the stimulus package that was just recently announced. Some of the stipulations that are regarding those people needing to update their address and just on income brackets. What do you want to speak to as far as the stimulus package?
Well, my belief of the stimulus package is it's not a stimulus package, it's a survival package. And we have to be careful about our words. And to the good brother that was talking earlier, and the reason why I did not want to comment on that is if I don't know anything about the subject matter, I prefer not to comment on it, but I do respect his opinion. But on this that you're asking me about the stimulus package, the stimulus package is not a stimulus package. What it merely is, it is a survival package, because we have to be careful about how we're wording things. If we word things to people to give them hope, such as a stimulus package, that means we have people intertwined in this struggle where they believe that this is something that's doable. So let me go ahead and break it down. If you have stimulus to it, that's to fire the economy up. It's to fire the economy up. It says economic stimulus, which means we're going to put this check in your hand, and then when we put this check in your hand, you're going to go out and you're going to spend it to stimulate the economy. With the amount of people who have been losing their jobs day in and day out, I believe it was 300,000 people, if I'm not mistaken, who filed for unemployment compensation last week alone. We do need a stimulus package. But however, it will not be a stimulus package. It will be an economic survival package, because by the time you receive that so-called stimulus package, it will be the end of the month of April. So therefore, if you've not paid your month's rent because you lost your job in March, the end of April, you're in survival mode. You're not in stimulus mode. So therefore, that's the reason why they're saying economic stimulus, so you can go ahead and feel good about receiving it. Because if you were to receive it and say, this is my survival check, that will put you in another level. And that other level will maybe a one of depression, which will cause you to do other things. Spending money, making money, it's more than just having it in your hand. It's also how you perceive it once you receive it.
Mm-hmm. And that word stimulus attached to it can bring a whole different meaning, a feeling.
Out. So I want you to make sure you rewind that, folks, and use that again.
That was good stuff. Thank you for sharing. Now, we do know, because we also want to use this time to educate as well. We know that there are several programs out there that are being working with corporations and companies to help them to be able to trickle that the support down to even the consumer or an employee. People have talked about things about deferments, asking for deferments, talking to your credit card company. I know a lot of people here in Dallas are waiting for some type of support or law to be passed to postpone evictions and get support with their rent or with their mortgage. So not only are people waiting on something that's going to supposedly come at the end of April, which in our mind, we're already thinking May, right? So right. How do people cope with something they have not received yet, that when they do get it, it's still not enough? Those people who are being forced to go to work during this time, because it's like, do I worry about my health, or do I take a risk and, worry about survival and feeding my children? So with that being said, what do you suggest people do as far as finances and just taking some of the support? What education can we give out today?
Let's first of all go ahead and look at that economic stimulus package or survival package that I spoke on. It's for $1,200. So if you divide $1,200, my math isn't that good, but over a year, that's what, $100 a month. So if we're talking about that, how can you go ahead and survive over that? When we talk about economic stimulus as well, $1,200 a month, if I'm not mistaken, that's a little bit more than what a person would make that would be on minimum wage. So those are, again, is not survival money. What you should do is, in anticipation of getting this money, is to think for yourself, as most people do when it comes to their money. They think about their money first. They should go ahead and ask for deferments in these companies, these larger companies. They will grant you these deferments because they are in the mode of trying to survive as well. So that's something you can go ahead and pursue. You have to think of yourself as a business. That's what businesses do, and therefore you should act as a business yourself and do it as well.
That's right. And you know, I've seen things floating around about how other countries were able to put plans in place so quickly. You know, and it's like we as America even battled with coming to a decision for that. Do you think the package that was put together is it going to benefit the everyday working American?
It will benefit them if they have it occur more than one time. Uh, Something like this, as I stated before, is going to last a couple of years, to say the least. So therefore, it have to be more than just one stimulus package. So we have to realize that as this is going on, this survival package, if you will, it has to be done repeatedly because this is just the first wave of jobs that are being lost. We are in a recession now, folks. We just haven't had the numbers for it yet because people haven't been placed out of work long enough to lose a paycheck yet. If they've been laid off, that means they were laid off within the last couple of weeks. So they still have that proverbial check in the hole. So now, once we get past that check in the hole, now we're getting into the part where they are now receiving unemployment compensation. But what about the unemployment compensation and how long it'll last and what you have to do? Your bills don't run off of the same unemployment as well. So we have to go ahead and realize that we're in it for the long haul on it. Now, the other portion of it is how you're going to find a job in a recession in which you can't apply for a job unless you're doing it online. And then with the interview process, then we have to digital divide on applying for jobs. And then who's going to be hiring in a recession as well when everyone's going through that? This has hit everybody. If you take a look at how it's hitting everybody, Macy's has now closed down all of its stores. There are no stores anymore because everybody been online in the first place to buy stuff. So now they're closing down stores. So now when you have Macy's closing down stores, the guy that cleans up at Macy's now no longer has a job. The person that's right next to the Macy's in the mall no longer have a job because they closed down the mall. The mall is completely closed down. Everybody that went to the mall, they're closed down. So it's not just mom and pop stores outside of the mall, it's the mall itself. But then again, who's going to the mall anyway? Because everybody was online. So now we have that series of jobs that are closing down because now you're not online now looking for a job instead of shopping now. So you end up having this and everything as a trickle down theory, theory, if you will, on how it affects the economy. Seems like the only people making money are the people at the grocery stores, and now the grocery stores now are hiking up their merchandise as well. So now what money we're spending on that economic stimulus, wait a minute, I call it a survival check. The economic survival check now is not to put money in the economy, but it's to put food in your pantry.
Very different from being a stimulus. Very different. All right. So a lot of people are saying that they agree with you. I don't trust anything America mask as free. And you know, it's to the point, I said this is something to the point where people are feeling the need to put a mask on. You know, our survival is just taking a breath in and out. We're at the point now of just having to be thankful to be able to still breathe in the quality of the air at this point. In any day and moment, you know, in science that could change, you know. So I'm so glad you joined. Yes, it's my birthday. birthday. Hey, Juan, that's my fellow Aries. And I may come on, I typically celebrate my birthday all month. And due to everything that's been going on, I'm totally behind. But you're right. I just felt like I wanted to connect with others.
You gotta find another way to celebrate your birthday. Most people celebrate their birthdays by going out.
I know.
It's a pandemic. You can't go out. You picked the wrong week to have a birthday. You should have had a birthday last month before the pandemic.
Well, I'm just really I really did pray today on my birthday, and despite the world being like it is, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have the opportunity to use my voice and to educate and to share with others and just keep people encouraged during this time. Mama, yep, that's how we do it all month. So I'll be coming on more frequently with all this time that we have. As Southern Girl Speak, I'm all about transformation, and that is my message. So I just encourage everyone to not only clean your house, but clean your house. And just use this time for inner reflection and just try to see what God is trying to speak to us all through that. And I had a really good friend share a beautiful message in her interpretation, and it blessed me, and I'm hoping that she'll come share that with you as well. Ed, we've been watching the news. A lot of news reporters are doing their reports at home, just like we are. What do you think of that?
You know what? I think it's a good thing, and one of the things that I've noticed is that, I be checking people's houses out on the slide. I'll be like, okay, what do you got? So I'm in here.
They don't have the filter they have on television either.
No. And that's the reason why I'm here in my office at Gray Haven. I named my house Gray Haven, and I thought it was a fly thing to say. That way when I say, hey, I'm going to Gray Haven. And Jason Whiteley, who's on Channel 8 News, he said it took him it took him a little while to figure out what it was. He said, "You talking about you going to the house?" I said, "Yeah, it sounds like fly. I'm going to Gray Haven." So this is what Gray Haven looks like. This is the downstairs office of Gray Haven, and in it, it has sports memorabilia and all that. But it's pretty cool. I like it, but I just want people to realize that it's nothing like being in the studio itself.
Yeah,
and I miss being in the studio. But I believe that this is going to be the new normal for a long time to come, because now more people now know what Zoom is, and that's it.
Right. Now, I know you said, before we let you go, you are a historian, and you said you're in your office, you have a lot of memorabilia. Can you share with the audience one thing just one little, yeah. Since we're all up in your space, I want to be nosy a little bit. What's something good? It's my birthday, so people have to move in my community. What do you have in there that you like to share and tell a story about?
Well, okay. I'll be right back. This is awful.
All right. While he does that, guys, I just want to again thank everybody for joining. It is my birthday. I got one little surprise here. I've gotten so many wonderful calls and text messages. I still have to go through all my little notes on Facebook, but I just wanted to tell you all thank you for joining me and interacting with me tonight.
Hey, I'm back. I got that delay going on. So I'm looking at my cell phone. They saw it on the other picture there too. Wow. So anyway, this is your birthday. So a little bit of history here. We're going back. What I'm holding up now are the helmets of the two football teams that were in Dallas. And this is the Dallas Texans. They just won the Super Bowl, known as the Kansas City Chiefs. And now this is the old helmet of the Dallas Cowboys. So, this is the way the Dallas Cowboys helmet looked when they first arrived here in Dallas. So that's what we got going on here, and that's what we're talking about. And I can go ahead and talk about that. at a later time. But the most important thing right now is March 30th. This is your birthday. I'd like to send shout out to you and your birthday. You look so lovely and everything. I would hope next year that we'll be able to celebrate in person this virtual celebration in which you are there, dressed up and everything. You got your bubbly and everything. So again, thank you again for inviting me into your world, if you will. And I also like to thank all of those people who are tuned in right now. I'm looking at some of the comments that have come through. So I appreciate all of the comments.
Can you read
that have come through?
Read some of yours that I can't see.
You can't see them?
I don't think so.
Wow, I'm just not being able to get to see them myself. Tamara Elias says, hey, happy birthday. All right, Tommy Fields, happy birthday. And I'm only interested in the things about you. Okay. Happy birthday again from Eric May, Stay Hall, who says, yes, this definitely needs to be taken more seriously. We were talking about the pandemic, so we need to talk about this. Miss Anita Miss Anita Delaney says, happy birthday, my firstborn. She's a big fan of yours, I understand.
My number one.
And then you know what? And this is where you messed up at. You didn't thank her.
That's what you were talking. I thought you forgot about
That's what I was saying earlier. You messed that up.
Thank you, Mom and Dad, that I'm here. Is that what you mean?
There you go. There you go. Tate Richard, happy birthday again. And I believe, let's see, Fiber Ratliff, we have to take it one day at a time. Yep, we do. Kareem Mitchell, all right, my brother, thank you for your comments. And also, again, we were talking about the comments about not, Tate Richard, regarding my mortgage company told me to stop playing and pay. Hey, man, what can I say, Tate? What can I say? They say try, that's all I'm saying. So, go ahead, So now, again, I think that's all we have. We keep running around looking at all of these names, and I'm just getting tongue-tied trying to run them through right now. But, the most important thing, again, is it is your birthday again, and you have a heart of gold, as I stated before. And I do appreciate you for helping me out on the Commish radio show. And I do appreciate your talents as well. So that's about all I have to say, because right now it is your day, it is your show. And I want you to continue to shine as you've done now for 27 years now?
At least.
All right.
At least. Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for all who have joined us. And you can follow The Commish, Ed Gray, The Commish. You say you're going to come on tomorrow at 6 p.m.? 6
p.m.
And what will you be talking? Are you going to follow Corona ongoing? Is that you're just going to have a lot of media updates?
We're going to be on this for the long haul for a little while. We're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about things about how it affects the community. Today we talked about stay at home. Yesterday I talked about sports in the pandemic. And then, as I stated, the first episode was just an opening episode. You can join in, if you will. I'm totally tapped out with the Facebook got that 5,000 limit. So now I have to go ahead and expand into
Just when I hit my 5,000. I hit my 5,000.
Get your 5,000? Congratulations.
Thank you.
5,000. So now I have the fan page in which you're able to get on board on that one. But also follow in Ed Gray 1906 on Twitter and Instagram, and you'll be able to catch some of this as well.
Yeah, your Twitter is really good. And thank you all for joining Southern Girl Speaks and wishing me a happy birthday, joining my birthday. I will be back on Thursday. And also follow my Southern Girl Speaks page here on Facebook and on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining, and you all have a wonderful rest of your evening and week. Blessings. Bye.